Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Loeries Creative Hour. Today, we're joined by Robyn Terbrugge, who's the General Manager of Sales and Marketing at Gallo Images. Hi, Robyn. How are you doing?
I'm mute. Hi, Preetesh. How are you?
All good. Hey, all good. Thank you for joining us today.
A pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Fantastic.
Glad to be part of your creative hour.
It's so good to have you, and to everyone who's joining us, thank you for joining us once again. For our regular viewers, people who tune in every week, you'll probably notice a different background. I'm used to doing this from my home, and for the first time ever, we're doing a Loeries Creative Hour from my office. So therefore, we've got all the Loeries behind me, and I can the whole club. So this is new for me, and it's a different environment, and so good to be in the office for a change instead of stuck at home and having to do this. What's really interesting, you saw from the video that we just shared as well, is that Loeries Creative Week is happening from the 16th to 20th of November. It's going to be fantastic, a very different experience. Look out for more communication about that as the time goes by. But today, we're here to chat to Robyn, who's from Gallo Images, and we're going to be speaking about hashtag visual GPS, and specifically about realness. We live in a world which is dominated by images and media, but specifically the power that we have with images these days to create our own. But also for those of us in the industry, we know how much we need to actually go out there and source the right image for our campaign. And we're going to be chatting to Robyn about that. Robyn, maybe before we get into it, I need your help in something, because we're going to be changing between companies which people are going to find interesting, and speaking about Gallo Images and Getty Images. Can you give us a bit more background in terms of why we'll be using this interchangeably throughout our chat today?
Sure. Gallo Images, we represent the Getty Images brand as well as iStock in Sub-Saharan Africa as well as Eastern Europe. So we're basically appointed by Getty Images in the region to obviously we understand our market's needs and we're here to service on a local aspect rather than just on a global aspect. And as we do in Sub-Saharan Africa, we have the same relationship with Getty through Eastern Europe. And previously, we've had offices in the Middle East and Brazil.
That's fantastic. So it truly is a organization with a global footprint in different markets, and one that's constantly evolving.
Yeah, well, Getty Images is a global business. And I think, key is that they have people from certain regions that understand certain markets to represent their brand. So our holding company is Gallo Images, and we do have our own brand of content. And not only do we represent Getty Images, but we are also content creators and partners for Getty Images. So through the 20-year relationship that we've had, and I think with our feet on the ground and really understanding the nuances of Africa, we've had the privilege of creating and providing content to the Getty Images platform.
Brilliant. I also want to quickly also say hello to everyone who's joining us on the call today. Just mention a few names. On the Zoom call, we have a few people: Alistair McLeod, Eleni Diedrichs, Elliot Fransman, Crystal Felsman, Lee Andrews. Thank you all for joining, and to everyone else who's joining. But also, we have a wide audience on Facebook. So to everyone on Facebook, we unfortunately can't see your names, but we know you there, and we appreciate you joining and spending your time with us as well. Robyn, maybe one of the other things as well, looking at Getty Images as a business, it's always good to know the history and try and figure out how it started, why it started, who started it even. Can you give us some history in terms of how this came about?
So we actually, Getty Images is celebrating our 25th birthday this year. So it was what was destined to be a very big year for us. Obviously, there have been a few changes along the way with the pandemic that we're going through, but nevertheless, we're still focused on the 25 years that we've been servicing and creating content. The business was started by Mark Getty, yes, part of the Getty family. Yeah. Jonathan Klein, who was actually born in South Africa. And yeah, their vision was to leverage business off an internet-based platform. So what started as a very small stock library with 35 mil trainees has developed into a massive warehouse of digital content. It's, I think those of you that know Getty Images, our service is not only images. We've expanded into video. We have a fantastic music offering where we've partnered with Epidemic Sound. And as we've evolved in the digital space, we're also creating things like virtual reality content, 360-degree capsules, time-lapse, and all those new media elements that we need to engage with consumers, particularly in a digital platform.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing, Robyn, I was just thinking about this while you're chatting is, a quarter of a century is a long time for a business to be around. 25 years is a massive amount of time. But Getty Images has been there for essentially my entire career. So in my mind, it seems so much older as a business. So it's always amazing what's been done in the last 25 years.
Yeah, I think what's been amazing is to watch the business evolve. I think when I first joined the industry 21 years ago, our business was still very much based on 35 mil trainees, where a creative would call in with a brief. We would take, a week, maybe 10 days to do the search, piling through, all sorts of, looking on the lap table, looking for the trainees. And then we would send the content, book out the trainees, have a driver deliver the content, and we would send it through to creatives to make their choice and to make their decision. That has completely evolved. Absolutely. I mean, everything that we have is now available at your fingertips on our website, gettyimages.com. We at Gallo Images have a team of visual experts where we provide a research service. And I think that's a huge time-saving element for the industry, is that we can help you find that content based on your brief. And we pride ourselves with a turnaround time of maximum 2 hours. Now, if we think back to those days, 21 years ago, where it would take a week to get a selection of content, now you're able to get it within a couple of hours. Likewise, not only do we have creative content on our website, we're also leaders in terms of news, sport, entertainment, and archive content. And particularly for the media, we know that speed is absolutely key. And that is one of the things that Getty Images prides itself with. So wherever the event is globally, we're 7 seconds live to our website. So whether it's a sports game, whether it's the Venice Film Festival that's happening now, literally what you would be seeing at the event, 7 seconds later, it's on our website.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at it as we scroll through the Getty Images website. You just get a feel that everything that's happening anywhere in the world has happened in any recent time there's a visual record of this on the Getty Images website.
Absolutely. And I think, Preetesh, just to mirror that, where you asked where Gallo Images fits in,
yes.
We are the local partner to Getty. So we do have our own Gallo Images website. And like you're seeing on screen at the moment, you're seeing very much what's happening abroad in terms of film festivals and in terms of sporting and news events. If you mirror it on the Gallo Images website, you would be likely to see what's happening locally. So, as sport is starting to open up in our country, we'll be covering those sporting events. Likewise, where there's celebrity fashion weeks, we make that available to the media, to the market through Gallo Images' websites.
Yeah, and what's interesting, so this is an example of Gallo Images, and you can see you'll see, if anyone's tuning in, the Loeries pitches up eventually. So you'll also see, as things happen at the Loeries, you'll be able to get all the content from here as well. The other interesting thing, though, is as you go through this process, and you've got all of these images, and you've got all of these needs, and you're looking at what people are looking for, there's a need to do a lot of research as well. And tell me about some of the research that you're doing to get some insights in terms of the way we look for images and on what resonates with consumers.
Yeah. Preetesh, I think it's really worth speaking about the Getty Images visual GPS report, which we'll happily share with anyone who's interested after this session. Just to give you some background, is that the report was really generated and developed with the creative challenges that we have in mind. It's a report that helps you navigate through the clutter. We live in a visual world. There's so much content that's available out there. And what this report helps us identify is what are the forces, what are the attitudes, what are the behaviors that help consumers make their decision. It's an interesting read. It obviously shares great insights into different industries. In the report, the initial forces which we speak about, we've come up with 4 key forces. Obviously, it's important to understand that forces can change from time to time, and they can also collide in terms of, they interact with each other. But if we look at the research that we've put together, and again, it's a multifaceted report. So it's not just our insight. What we at Getty Images have is a creative insight team that is headed up by Dr. Rebecca Swift. And, there's a huge amount of research that goes into the different sectors and the different industries that we service and provide content to. We're also, Getty Images is a massive data business. Daily we have thousands of people hitting our website with search terms looking for specific content, and we're able to track what those trends are. So, obviously we've seen an increase in searches for things like sustainability. We've seen an increase in searches of women, veganism, and, there are multiple search terms that are changing. And as trends and as things are changing within the industry, it very often mirrors the search results that we're experiencing. We're also privy to track this information from different regions, different markets. And this visual GPS takes our own creative research, so our own creative insights teams research the data that's hitting our website. And then we've also partnered with an external research company, YouGov, and all of this research together is combined in our visual GPS report that, we're very happy to share with you. So I think, I spoke about the forces, and within this report, the 4 forces that we refer to is wellness, technology, sustainability, and then of course, realness, which is, I think, what we're going to speak about today.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. So what I'd love to do is, hopefully my video plays. I just realized that our offices have some firewall problems during this time, but I'd love to show everyone just a visual representation explanation of the visual GPS as we go into this discussion. So here's a short video for everyone to have a look at.
Where do you turn when there's goals to meet, impressions to be made, a message to get across, and the perfect image, video, or illustration will make all the difference? Introducing Getty Images Visual GPS, the next generation of industry-disrupting visual research. Building on our 25 years of experience, it's a guide to what consumers care about and how to choose the visuals that connect with them. It's not just another trends report. It's the art of choosing visual content matched with the science of consumer behavior, leveraging sales and search data, insights from our visual experts, and the latest market research, giving you a glimpse of today's consumer, what drives their decision-making, and what's engaging to them. Whoever your audience, wherever they are, Visual GPS helps you drive your message right to them. And that perfect image, video, or illustration, you'll know it when you see it.
So what's amazing is this research, I'm reading from some of the notes that you shared, Robyn, as well, is that it surveyed over 10,000 consumers and professionals in 13 languages across 26 countries. That's amazing. So it's quite a wide, robust piece of research.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's also ongoing. You know, I think it is a global research piece, but, you know, sessions such as this or interactions with myself individually on a one-on-one basis, all of that information and insight that we have from users within the market, consumers within the market, help us to further on these research elements. You know, I think that they're ever changing and there will be new research into different forces as time goes on.
I think one of the things I want to do about is you've mentioned these four forces, wellness, sustainability, technology, and realness. And even though we're focusing mainly on realness, I think it's important to get some sort of working understanding of the others. Can you tell us more about wellness as a force and its impact and what it means in terms of this report?
Yeah, sure. So I think if we look at wellness as a whole, it's not only about the body image, It's about that emotional aspect, the mental health and spiritual. And then of course, I think also family and relationship fitness is absolutely key. Throughout the report, we look at different symbols, which obviously represent wellness. And globally, I think yoga is known as the key symbol for wellness abroad.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, our top-selling image of women in 2018 was an elderly group of women doing yoga. And again, search terms for yoga really do drive what we refer to as wellness. But I think it's also about celebration and togetherness. If we look at images, it's those images that capture that inner joy and that real happiness. We look at, if we look at keywords and we look at when people are searching for wellness, the keywords that come up are things like family, self-care, fulfillment through kindness, community, emotional and spiritual well-being, connecting with friends, connecting with family, are the terms that we see most searched when looking for wellness images.
So wellness is not just about physical wellness. It seems like there's almost some nuance into it where there's also mental wellness and images that represent that as well within this group.
Very much so, yes.
Okay. And in terms of wellness, I know it's one of the top 4 that actually comes out as well. I mean, how receptive are companies to actually using this? I find that a lot of your clients, even if they're not in the wellness space and not directly in that, are realizing that they need to bring in these themes such as wellness into the communication that they're putting out there.
Yeah, I think very much so. I think if you relate to what we've been going through with the COVID pandemic, and you look at what businesses are doing, it's all very much focused on the wellness of their staff, the wellness of their teams, as well as the wellness of the consumer. So it certainly is an increasing trend, and our requests that we've received locally for wellness content to create wellness videos, and it's not only the health and fitness aspect, it's very much focused on the mental health of people.
Okay, amazing. So this is not skewed by just wellness companies going, I'm searching for this. It's a broad base. And in terms of sustainability, what do you mean by sustainability? What are some of the examples that we can expect?
Yeah, so I think if we look at what the UN said 30 years ago, it said, a definition of sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, and ensuring that Earth's inhabitants have what they need to survive. So I think, in a nutshell, if we look at what is sustainability, it's the need to decrease our carbon footprint, to reuse and recycle, and ensuring that we do it, but our children do the same. So if we look at things that people care about, 92% of people say that the way that we treat the planet would impact, the future. 87% of people say that they're concerned about the oceans, and 85% of people are worried about things like air pollution. And I think if we just relate to sustainability, data is one thing, but seeing something really does change that point of view. And if we think about that global campaign, so there were global campaigns that were started using our oceans, which were filled with plastic, and what plastic was doing to our oceans. The power of that campaign has really created an awareness, because people have actually seen what is happening through visual representation. And we've obviously seen a rise in terms of things like, things against single-use plastic, takeaway coffee cups and how we're replacing takeaway coffee cups. And then, of course, getting rid of plastic straws. And I mean, just an interesting stat, if I look at 6 months last year, the search terms, or the search results on Etsy.com, which is a global website, increased by 205%. Of people actually looking to buy metal straws as opposed to plastic straws.
Wow.
And I think the awareness there, visually awareness there, was people were able to, they were seeing what actually happened.
Okay. And I'm looking at these amazing images as well of people from around the world in different sustainability projects or just in terms of their lifestyle. So it's amazing having a look at this and having access to this information. So the next part and the next big pillar that we need to look at for us is technology. And obviously we're all impacted by that. We're having this discussion thanks to emergence of technologies such as Zoom. But when people are looking for images, what are they looking for and what are some of the insights they want to find through Getty Images?
Yeah, so I think if we look at technology, and it's something that's evolving around us all the time, it's not necessarily the device that drives the decision, but it's the people's relationship with technology and the way that they choose to interact with it that will determine what connects. And if we look at things like technology, obviously people crave that convenience, and they're looking to use technology to simplify the way in which they do things. But there's also that fear of AI and what is AI doing to the human relationship. So I think, visually there, we're looking for content that shows how technology benefits humans by working alongside them. And I think typically in this course, keywords that we would see coming through in our visual search guides would be things like connecting digitally, video calls with family. There's a huge debate about what technology is actually doing to relationships and human interaction. And you'll look at the different, whether it's the millennials' opinion or the Gen Z or the baby boomers, everybody has a different opinion as to what technology is doing to relationships. So again, back to keywords, we look at things like connecting with people through technology, disconnect and technology. There's often an alignment between those two. Technology and innovation, smartphone addiction, which is, I think a very, very real thing.
I think I have it. I think I have. I generally do. Yeah.
I think from time to time, it's quite important that we all go through a digital detox and remove ourselves from our smartphone device. I think there's a lot of interesting insights. And again, the report goes into in-depth discussions around technology and people, which again links back to wellness and health and well-being.
Absolutely. I think about, I even think about our relationship. We've met a few times, but only digitally. We've actually never met face to face, but I feel like we've had so many chats over the last few weeks and months and stuff for that as well. So it is an enabler, but it is having an issue, and it's great to see this trend come out. Before we go into realness, which is why we're here today to speak about, and what we're here to speak about today. I mean, wellness, sustainability, there goes my voice, technology and realness. These seem very relevant now. And I see an important point in terms of the report that you expect these to potentially evolve and change, and they could drop off and new trends could emerge. So this is very much what's happening right now. So it really is a snapshot, well, no pun intended, a snapshot of this moment in time and what's relevant to consumers at this moment in time. And this report will evolve over the years?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think not even years, it's evolving on an ongoing basis. So Getty Images Creative Insight, which is available on our website, you will see that we are regularly updating different reports. So we're uploading videos, reports, and insight pieces that are relevant to these four forces. Just in dealing with our insights team of late, I believe that these forces are already evolving, and that there will be new forces which will be released in the not so near, in the really near future. So I think before the end of the year, we will probably see some changes to these forces, or perhaps the way these forces have evolved.
Okay, great. And then getting into realness, and I think it's good to maybe start with a question from Angela Kwamongwe, who asks, and this is a question I know you'd love to answer because you're doing so much work in the space. She asks, "Hi, I've been sourcing images on both Getty Images and Gallo Images for many years. Why is it that when you type beautiful woman, you find white people represented? I have to type black beautiful woman to see black people images. Why is it not diversified that when you type in beautiful women or beautiful children, you see all races represented? this is very important and has bothered me over the years?
Okay, I think, Angela, very, very good question, and obviously a very good point that's been raised. And that kind of feedback is what's absolutely key to me as Gallo Images representing Getty Images. I absolutely identify with the fact that you need to type in Black or even better so using the word African ethnicity would return better results. And I think that's something, you know, knowing what you've just stated is something that we can feed back to the keywording team, who obviously sits aboard because Getty Images is a global business. So thank you for noting that point, and you know, I think allow me to give that feedback back to the team.
Great. And then in terms of realness, though, there is, I mean, the images that I look at realness, and I'm gonna put some up on screen in a second as well. But can you explain to us this force of realness and how it impacts us and why it's so important right now?
I think realness it's more than just a trend. It's a long overdue acceptance of our differences and the empathy for how we experience the world, and the ability to bring our whole selves into everything that we do, both personally and professionally. We honestly believe that by keeping it real can really help you connect with the consumer and connect with the, you know, with the population. The word real has become synonymous with the diverse representation. And if we look at words like if we see and if we hear, the key word that people are using and the key word that comes up in our keywording is the word candid. And I think candid is probably most used when describing imagery that works best for customers' brands. You know, I think you know, one of the the negative connotations that stock's always had in the past is that it's been very posed and very styled. And that is something that we, together with Getty Images, are really focusing on in moving away from that negative criticism in terms of bringing more candid, non-posed, non-styled imagery to the market that's available. One of our things that we champion are our partnerships with different content providers, which enable us to do this. So some of you may know that last year we partnered with Unilever Dove, and we've created a fantastic collection called Project Show Us. And this collection is really a groundbreaking library of content. It's imagery of women, shot by women, and it's really devoted to shattering beauty stereotypes by showing women in their natural format. I think, again, one of the features of this collection is that all of that content is shot, it's not photoshopped. So there's no retouching that's happened. It's all shot in its natural format. And again, shot by women, keyworded and captioned by women. Other partnerships that Getty Images have got is we partner with the Lean In organization, Refinery 29, and then a very interesting one is the National Disability Alliance. So I think when we talk about realness, I think where the market is moving away is from having a fake image. We try not to use professional models in the content that we shoot, and we try and use real people. So we turn to friends, we turn to family, and we turn to social media to try and shoot people in real situations. And an example we always use is if you are promoting, or if you're promoting a product for somebody with a disability, you don't want to use a fake model that's not actually disabled.
True.
It's not telling a real story. So, you know, that's where we've got a fantastic disability collection of real people with certain disabilities. And it's all about truth and transparency.
I'm looking at some of these untouched images, which everyone can have a look at right now. So these are powerful examples of real women and their life and being in their lives and things that they're involved in and things that they're doing. And I think it's amazing to have these uncovered right now. Robyn, just to have a look at it, I mean, one of the other important things, and I'm having a look at this research, and this is really powerful. And when the researchers spoke to some of the people, the respondents, they said that top 3 things that people believe and feel is, and this is 80% of the sample said that they say companies need to show people with all body shapes and types. 78% are comfortable in their own skin. 74% believe they have the power to influence and shape the future. Now, so this is amazing that people, I think there was a time in our history where, and I think about when I was a kid and I'd look at a magazine or look at any of this, it was really based on how can you have the most touched up image. And I remember a few years ago, there was a huge debacle in terms of various magazines that over photoshopped models and the challenges. And it seems that we've come from that point to a point where we're celebrating and recognizing that honest, real images and portrayal of people as they really are in media is much more important to us than trying to sell us a fake image of someone who's been over photoshopped.
100%. I think retouching is becoming less popular, and globally there are a number of brands that have actually taken a complete stance against it. So yeah, I think for the average woman that doesn't look like that over photoshopped Barbie image, I think we certainly delighted to see more realness when we page through those magazines.
Yeah, as I said, the stat that makes me really happy is to see that 78% of the respondents say they're comfortable in their own skin, because I think for a long time we were sold this idea, this image in terms of what you had to look like. And right now we're at a point where people are saying to us as people in the industry that I should be the definition of what normality and real is in the industry instead of showing me something else. And I think that's a powerful message that we're getting. And it's great to see that these images already exist and you already have these on file.
Yeah, I think, Preetesh, in our Creative Insight page, there's some great reports on things like all bodies are good bodies. There's also another drive called acne positivity. And, I think acne is a real thing. All of us have suffered it at one stage or another in our lives. And there's a big global drive. I think Justin Bieber's behind it. He's saying acne happens. It happens to the best of us. And is it really that bad? Why do we have to try and cover it up? So there's all these great pieces of information which are shared on our Creative Insight page. And then, of course, galleries of content which relate to it.
And just going through some of the data as well and some of the research, which I'm sure everyone's interested in. So this is another interesting point. It says that people who are passionate about realness are likely to stress and work towards equality. They're more likely to demand honesty and transparency from businesses. They belong to communities that have experienced discrimination and expect companies that they do business with to celebrate diversity of all kinds. And what's important is that this move towards realness is having this. It says compared to people who are less passionate, they are 240% higher in equality, 153% higher on honesty, and 127% higher on transparency. I haven't had a chance to go through all of the full report, but maybe even if it's not in the report, just from your experiences and things that you've seen over the years, why is it that you believe that there's been such a change in the imagery that's being demanded by consumers and what people are looking for right now?
I think people aren't afraid to speak out. People feel real emotion with visuals that they connect to, and yeah, I think it's people have got a voice.
Great. So how do we as individuals, what can we do to support realness? I mean, I assume we upload our own images, or are there people out there for our images? Is there a better way for us to maybe interact in terms of getting the right images to use in our campaigns?
Yeah, I think we're constantly looking for new contributors to give contributors the opportunity to upload their content. I think if there are any photographers or creative professionals out there that believe that they have a content, or if they would like to become a contributor to Getty Images globally, that's certainly something that you can engage with myself on. And Preetesh, perhaps you can share my email address. It's robynt@galloimages.co.za. But we would be very, very interested in talking to you about the content that you've got. I think one of the great initiatives that we've done of late is we've partnered with influencers, social media influencers, and that's not to use them to influence our, as influencers to our brand, but it's to create the awareness and allow them to become contributors to our collection. Because again, if we go back to that keyword candid and real going hand in hand, we believe that there's some incredible talent in terms of those influencers out there. They shoot beautiful content that is candid because they're not defined to a specific brief. And it's a full collection. It's a company called Webfluential. It's a brand on Getty Images, but we're certainly seeing an uptake of interest in terms of that content, which are now contributors to gettyimages.com.
And here on our screen, we're just having a look at some of the key points that people have been making about realness and the importance of realness, the points that we're just chatting. This is, I think it's so important. Again, we're speaking about visuals, so it's good for everyone to visualize this data as we have a look at it as well. Just in terms of some other interesting insights, nearly 8 out of 10 of those who have helped influence this campaign have participated in activities to drive change, 50% donating towards causes, 42% posted support for a cause through social media. So what you're seeing is it's not just slacktivism. It's not just people who are going, I'm sitting on social media and I'm doing stuff. They're going, we're taking it one step further. We're actually getting involved, donating our money and donating our time towards getting involved in these activities.
Preetesh, I think just whilst you're on data, here's some more interesting stats in terms of consumers. And you asked me earlier about why do you think realism is important? Here's a piece of data. So consumers are paying attention and they're not afraid to speak out. 79% expect companies to be consistently committed to inclusivity and diversity in advertising. 44% don't feel advertising does a good job at representing who they are. 33% feel that their work environment is where they feel most discriminated against. And 79% say that brands need to do a better job at capturing people's true lifestyles and cultures.
Have you ever had a situation where you've spoken, and I think we're amongst friends, and have you ever had a situation where you've had to speak to a brand and say, or to an agency even, and go, you're looking for images. If you've given us insight about your campaigns, we don't think this is the right images. Let us direct you towards the right part. Because I can imagine that while the data is there, sometimes it's very easy for brands and agencies, for anyone in brand communication to default to what they know.
Yeah, I think, Preetesh, obviously our relationship, and we like to believe it, with our customers is more than just a supplier relationship. And it's absolutely key that we build that personal relationship with brands. I think one of the great things about our business is that we're privileged to be able to work across brands and across different industries and different sectors. And I think where you say they're perhaps using the wrong imagery, I wouldn't say wrong imagery, because imagery it would be specific to their campaign or their CR. But I think where we've been privileged to get involved is to suggest more authentic imagery. I think for many years, Getty Images lacked local representation in terms of authentic African content. And that certainly it's changed. It's really driven by our creative insights team, as well as creative professionals that we've actually employed within the continent. So we haven't just employed Americans to produce African content. We've employed Nigerians, employed Kenyans to produce South Africans, to produce localized content. So I think that's perhaps where we've had the privilege of suggesting local content as opposed to something which perhaps doesn't speak to our market.
And is this local content being created specifically for our local markets, so across Africa and the Middle East? Or is this local, do you find there's a demand for this content even in other countries?
Absolutely. I think, there's a demand for more and more content that speaks to each individual community or population that brands are marketing into.
Okay, great. Some of the other interesting data is in terms of brand stands and what brands stand for. As we're looking on screen right now, 33% of those polls say that in the past 2 years, they've boycotted a brand that went against their values. I'm not going to mention any examples. Everyone knows what's been happening recently. I don't think we need to go ahead. I can see a tangible, real example of how this actually is executed in real life. 34% said that they started purchasing a brand that supported a cause that they believe in. So this isn't just, and I think this is important to highlight, and the very, very important point is the work that's happening in terms of images and having realness as a key force in any of our campaigns and any of our communication isn't just about a warm, fuzzy feeling. It actually will make good business sense as well. And that's another reason for you to look at it.
Yeah, I think, other things that we look at in terms of realness, and again, I'm talking, visual keywords and visual concepts. I think one of the things is body types. We've spoken about that already today. But again, it's looking at age too, as well as gender, and I think there are lots of interesting topics around those things. Race and ethnicity is another topic that's often discussed when it comes to realness.
Yeah, because we have to admit it. I know brands continue to get it wrong. Brands have gotten it wrong. And sad to say, I expect that in future we will find brands getting it wrong again. But initiatives like this and communication and data such as this goes a long way in terms of preventing a lot of campaigns that could have gone the wrong way.
Agreed, yeah.
The other important thing is in terms of this realness is also this transparency that people are looking for. And I guess this realness ties in very nicely to sustainability as well. And this is interesting that 74% of those polled want to know how their products are being produced as well. So it's not just about using it. Yeah, tell us more about that, Robyn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I mean, you're seeing more and more businesses offering a 360-degree view into their business. How are products made, where are they made, and they're opening up their office space. There's some businesses that have glass walls, so you can really see behind the scenes in terms of the brands that you engaging with.
And then the other important thing is obviously there's biases that exist, unconscious biases, some very conscious biases out there as well. But in terms of this, it's scary to look at this. Despite the progress, discrimination still persists, and our respondents feel, so those 10,000 people who responded, 57% have been affected by a bias. 51% of that is in terms of body size, shape, and type. 37% in terms of lifestyle choice, 30% in terms of gender, 27% in terms of religion, and 25% in terms of race. What's interesting is I'm shocked to see the bias is so high for body size, shape, and type. So body shaming is still a reality, and it's something that's happening, that's impacting a wide sector of our society right now.
Yeah, I think that, again, that ties in with that power of our collaboration with Project Show Us, which is making more content available in terms of, those non-skinny woman kind of images.
Yeah.
I think if 2 years ago you typed in, beautiful woman on our website, you would only get skinny, beautiful woman, whereas now there's a complete diversity. You don't have to be skinny to be beautiful, and I think, there's a very real element to that.
Yeah, I think, it's representation is so important right now. And I'm so passionate about this because I think and in terms of visual images, it's so important for people to see people who are like themselves, who are succeeding and doing well. Whereas we just create the image that, again, you have to be thin, and there's a certain stereotypical image in terms of what you need to be defined as beautiful and to be successful. I think this is why it's so important in terms of the Show Us campaign and a lot of the other work that's being done to change some of this as well. Surprisingly, well, maybe not surprisingly, it's shocking is that lifestyle choices are still something where there's still a lot And I guess there were so many different countries, so we'd have to drill down into the data and have a look at it by country to get greater insights. But just on a high value, I mean, still to find discrimination in terms of lifestyle choices, the LGBTQI community, I guess, is highlighting that there's still a lot of challenges and a lot of work to be done, not just in societies that traditionally would have issues, but even some mainstream societies, be it in South Africa, the USA, or Western Europe as well.
Yeah.
And then, yes, we have a look at, I have to admit, I'm shocked to see that the racial discrimination is this low. And I guess, again, it looks on a society by society basis where different people would have a look at it and go, I'm having a very different experience. But as I said, that'll be great to get into the data and have a look at this as well. In terms of visual insights, if you look at it, it says over 2/3, 68% say it's important for them that the companies that they buy from celebrate diversity of all kinds, which is important. And young people are in the lead with just over 76% of Gen Z and millennials agreeing with this, compared to 61% of Gen X and baby boomers plus. So what this really shows is that your key target audience, or where the buying power is moving into right now, is saying that it's important for them to have that the companies that they're buying from celebrate diversity. So if it's not something you're thinking about, this is definitely something that companies need to incorporate in terms of their communication. Is this a right assumption, Robyn?
Yeah, 100% correct. And I think, it's important that we're providing the right visual content that brands can show that diversity. So I think it's interaction, with creative professionals in our region. So we're looking at Africa and the Middle East. Again, we need to grow that content offering so that we can speak to those consumers and diverse industries and sectors.
And the last thing I just want to show everyone as well is that in terms of this report, if you want more realness insights, it's from gettyimages.com and istock.com. And there's a lot of amazing research and insight, but Robyn's also a great insight. Hopefully you won't be inundated with too many emails, Robyn, but we appreciate the offer to be able to share this data, because my key thing that I'm looking at is, I think every agency, brand, organization needs to have access to this, because there's such great insights in terms of the work that we're doing and what needs to happen, and how you ensure you have real images to share with people.
Yeah, Preetesh, and I think, I'm very happy to become involved and to answer questions, but I'm also backed by a team of visual experts, so we can engage our creative insight team with brands, with marketing people from our sector, and I think as Gallo Images, we're happy to facilitate that direct relationship with the Getty Images creative insight team.
Brilliant. So one of the things that we're working on together, and this is the first time we're announcing it, so this will be great to chat to everyone, is that we want to change some stereotypes, don't we? We want to, I think I should let you explain more about this. Do you want to go and tell everyone about the work and what we're planning on doing, and the amazing work that you want to do going forward?
So you will hopefully become accustomed to our hashtag #GetReal, and really what we're calling to is we're calling women in the industry to come forward with their stories, to come forward with their pictures, and come forward with those life-defining moments of your story in the industry. During Creative Week, we're going to have a panel which will be hosted by Dr. Rebecca Swift, who heads up our Global Insight team. She's hugely passionate about breaking down those stereotypes and introduction of obviously diversity, and she really is an industry professional in terms of the knowledge that she shares. So through this drive, #GetReal, 3 of the qualifying participants will obviously have the opportunity to speak on a panel with Rebecca.
And that's Dr. Swift, who's on screen right now, if anyone doesn't know who's Dr. Rebecca. So also amazing individual, and who's got a wealth of insights. And she has a PhD in photography. I've never heard of anyone getting a PhD in photography, which is which is unbelievable. So yeah, just to recap, I think also to add from my side is there's such a need to break down stereotypes. And one of the ways is to keep this top of mind and have awareness in terms of who are the real women who make up our industry across Africa and the Middle East. Because the reality is women are still prejudiced a lot more than men, and we have to acknowledge it and we have to say it because it's true. And therefore what we need to do is highlight the real women who make up our industry, because that woman has a story behind her that is so powerful that we can celebrate, one, and two, also use to amplify this messaging to be able to go out there and inspire other women. The other thing that I want to add as well is I don't want this to be a campaign just for women supporting women. I think men, we need to take a stand and get involved and speak to women. There may be some amazing women who have stories that they may be too humble or shy to share on their own. And if you can support them and go, and with their permission, be able to share their image and their story, that's one of the ways that you can get involved as well. So don't just leave this and go, this is a woman supporting women. Men need to support women in this procedure, in this process as well. So get involved. All you really need to do is remember this hashtag. It's hashtag Get Real. And we're going to be using this and amplifying it. And we've got plans going on for quite a long while as well, even post Creative Week. And the key thing you do is get an image and share it with us. And all the details will be on the Loeries.com website really soon. Share it with us, and we'll be sharing it with Robyn, with Dr. Rebecca Swift, going through it. And I'm sure it's going to be a tough process trying to choose the 3 women that Dr. Swift will speak to, but it's obviously, we won't have the time to speak to everyone, but we're going to get 3 inspirational stories. We're going to speak to everyone, and hopefully somebody on this call, hopefully one of you will be there. I mean, reference this. I'd love you to reference this in your story and say, I was on the call when they announced it as well. So every single person's eligible. Please share this. Please be involved. We can all make a difference, and we can all ensure that this pillar, it's not even a trend, is it, Robyn? It's this pillar, this force of realness is something that we can get involved in, and it's a movement that we can all support. So a big thank you to you, Getty Images, Gallo Images, for getting involved and being part of this and initiating this with the Loeries, Robyn.
Thank you, Preetesh. And yeah, I think, it's something we really believe in. And yeah, we're really looking forward to this collaboration.
Fantastic. And Robyn, as we run out of time because we have so much to chat, it's lucky we didn't go through the full report, because I think we would have needed 4 hours, an hour a force. But it would have been a fascinating series to go through this entire report. But so remind us again, if anyone wants this report, how can they get hold of it?
So anybody, you're welcome to email myself, Robyn T, so it's ROBYNT @galloimages.co.za. But the report is also available to download directly off the gettyimages.com website.
Okay, so they can, if they want to save you a little bit of hassle, they can go to gettyimages.com, get the report,
Absolutely.
Start using it. And how do, and you've given this a number of times, but just in case anyone's missed it, how do people stay in touch with the work that Gallo Images and Getty Images are doing? And what are some of the ways, what are your URLs? What are your social media handles? What are the things that we need to remember?
So I think, we're constantly uploading directly to our website, which is the platform that our industry should be using. There's obviously ways in which we can assist you in terms of searching for content. And I think I mentioned it earlier, it's obviously a global website and it's a global platform. We have a short list of very key keywords that you can use in terms of finding authentic content, and that obviously speaks to our market. There's the Getty Images social hashtags, so Getty Images Creative and Getty Images Content, Getty Images Visual GPS, which is obviously available via Instagram and Facebook.
Fantastic. And I'd also, welcome and recommend that you go up and read up on Dr. Rebecca Swift, who's leading the discussion during Loeries Creative Week in November. Read up about the amazing work that she's doing. She's judged at, I think, every major design, photography, advertising award across Europe and is doing amazing work. And we're so honored to have her involved as well. Robyn Terbrugge, GM of Sales and Marketing at Gallo Images and at Gallo Images South Africa. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being part of this discussion and sharing all of this amazing insight.
Pleasure. Thank you, Preetesh. I think it's been a great privilege for us. And again, we value our collaboration and we're really looking forward to hearing those stories and seeing those pictures.
Fantastic. And look out for all of the announcements coming soon across all our Loeries social media network. And you should also get that soon in your inbox if you're subscribed to our newsletter. If not, go to loeries.com, subscribe to it, and we'll send you all of the details. Thank you to everyone who's joined. Thank you to everyone across Africa and the Middle East who will be viewing this. Appreciate your time and appreciate you taking the time to spend time with us today, and looking forward to chatting to you again next week. Robyn, thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend and looking forward to chatting again soon.
And to you. Thanks, Preetesh.
Take care. Cheers. Bye, everyone. Bye.